Station.
Happen. Where's Sarah Spain? What do you got?
Yeah, I don't know if we could. Do we call this? We can do just this is Vikes Bites. Let's call it Vikes Bites.
Or we can call it Division Draft Deep Diving.
Division Draft Deep Diving. I like that better. Let's go with that. We weren't the only team that had a draft class last weekend. We want to peek at our division opponents. We want to see how this impacts us. How does the division collisions look into the 2026 season? And so I've just kind of looked at team by team by team. I got a couple of bits here, some talkers, what maybe some scribes have said about their respective classes in the Windy City, Detroit, and Green Bay, of course. And you know what we're going to do? Let's start in the Motor City.
With the 17th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Blake Miller, tackle, Clemson.
Blake Miller selected 17th overall by the Detroit Lions. Now, the Lions, let me see here, 1, 2, 3, 7 total draft selections. I don't have all their UDFAs in front of me here, and frankly, as far as deep goes, I didn't go to the center of the earth. I just went as deep as I possibly could. But they started off with a tackle. And, you know, the post-pick analysis, this is from Ben Raven of M Live. It wasn't sexy. It wasn't flashy. But sometimes the smartest, safest, and most obvious decision is the best one. So talking about Blake Miller, the tackle out of Clemson, we spent so much time looking at Fano, and eventually we tried to figure out how to pronounce Ione. And is it Ioane? Excuse me. See, I'm still working on it. Blake Miller, Clemson, goes 17th overall. Ben highlights Miller's durability. He played in 54 straight games for the Clemson Tigers. Minimal sacks allowed, size and power, leadership. They feel like this is a potentially seamless fit for the offensive line moving forward for a team that's trying to replace Taylor Decker. Of course, Frank Ragnow on the interior, looking at that spot in particular. But they love that pick at pick 17. Another one highlighted here specifically by Raven was their fifth-round corner, Keith Abney II out of Arizona State. Mid-fifth-round steal, who ranked as high as cornerback 9 or 61st overall on some boards. So they love him as a depth and nickel candidate. The risk here, according, again, is they're a little worried that they skipped safety and tight end in the draft.
Yeah.
And so whether it's the health, of course, of Branch and Kirby Joseph, you think about tight end, and we're going to talk about another team. They have all the tight ends. It feels like one particular team in our division wants to have every single tight end.
Yep. And get rid of Durham Smythe and get cheaper and improve.
Yeah, how about that? So, and we will get to that team. Nick Baumgardner of the Athletic, Detroit writer. Derek Moore. This is what he notes. Derek Moore was a defensive end that they took in the second round out of Michigan, Wolverines. So they were pretty familiar with him. Grade A, he gave it. Detroit moves up 6 spots, jumping Derek Moore's favorite former college defensive coordinator in Jesse Minter, who's now the head coach in Baltimore, to snag the explosive, long-armed edge rusher from Michigan. This pick makes so much sense as Moore will add juice to a defensive front that needed someone to win one-on-ones opposite Aiden Hutchinson. So that's specific to Derek Moore, the second-round pick. And speaking of that defensive front, you got Aiden. He's going to be healthy, happy, and active. Tyleek Williams and Aleem McNeil. But already you're looking at depth charts and such, they kind of slot that second-round pick in. And clearly in offseason, they brought in DJ Wanham, if you remember that, PA. But adding Derek Moore in the second round, maybe this is kind of an indirect, didn't really love DJ Reed for the balance of the season. Terrion Arnold still trying to figure that out. Branch and Kirby Joseph oft injured. That's problematic. But, man, if we can dominate up front, maybe we can mask some of those issues. Derek Moore, they loved. They're kind of into this corner. Keith Abney out of Arizona State. And Blake Miller, the safest, most obvious decision, potentially being the best one, as written by one of their scribes. He went Thursday night, the tackle out of Clemson. So, That's kind of where we're at with the Lions.
The Kitties.
With the Kitties.
Yep.
They got a linebacker. I saw something. Jack Campbell. Was it Jack Campbell they did not pick up his fifth-year option on? I thought I saw some scuttlebutt about that. So something to watch here with the Kitties. Kendrick Law, another wideout. They picked him up. Maybe that's somebody that can compete to replace Khalif Raymond in 2026. But that's the Kitties draft. And now we'll move to...
No, you're right. Lions exercise fifth-year option for Jahmyr Gibbs.
That's what it was, yeah.
And decline fifth-year option for linebacker Jack Campbell. Ooh, Iowa City, go crazy.
Yeah, and here's what I saw somebody that the reason it came up in the feed, and I got to do more research on this. Clearly, given my math skills, I still think I'm right. The work needs to be done on my end research-wise because your fifth-year option is kind of murky when it comes to like the linebacker group. So are you an outside linebacker? Or are you an inside linebacker? Outside linebackers versus defensive ends and the fifth-year tag cash?
Yep.
Is it a money thing that's impacted because of what some are considering an archaic system?
Well, like Jake Golday for the Vikings. He will be listed as an inside linebacker.
Right.
When in reality, he'll play some gank spots, defensive end, slot, edge, whole thing.
So if he was a first-round pick, potentially that fifth-round option number would be lower because he's an inside guy, even though he spends a fair amount of time trying to kill QBs.
Might be some forward thinking there, the con.
Well, I'm no mathematician. To the green and gold.
With the 52nd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Brandon Cisse, defensive back, South Carolina.
I think that was former Packer John Kuhn making the call on Friday night. The Packers did not have a first-round pick, so their first selection was one selection right after. What if we got to our sniping PA? They'll never admit it. But what if Gutekunst freaked out, and they need a corner? I mean, there's no doubt about that. But what if we sniped him with Jake Golday at 51 overall?
I mean, who doesn't want the gink? The gink is on fire! What a great time of the year this is right now. It's awesome.
Gosh, so much going on, man.
I know. Tom just had to change 3 time slots for Box in the Box tomorrow. Tom Reed, 9:45.
Oh, sweet. Tom Silverstein, who reports for the Green Bay Press Gazette, maybe JS Online as well. This is what I have here from Brandon Cisse, 52nd overall pick. This is a pretty good pick, he says, all things considered. They got a corner with their top pick. He's a terrific athlete with long arms and press man ability. He's a true outside corner, which is what the Packers wanted. Now, we've kind of covered this, of course, with the Micah Parsons trade. We say hello to Micah, which he's going to be good for a long time as soon as he gets healthy, and he's going to be a pain in our backside.
Well, you're seeing it clearly.
But they said goodbye to Kenny Clark as part of that transaction. And additionally, maybe I'm the only one. Maybe Cindy loved him too. I thought Colby Wooden was a good fat guy in the middle, run-stuffing big man. And they lost him in free agency. So with the third-round selection, 77th overall, they tried to address that with Chris McClellan, a defensive tackle out of Missouri. Now, here's what Silverstein said with McClellan. Very strong, bench the 225, 25 reps. He can shoot gaps and get after the quarterback. Should be able to play with Warren Brinson behind Javon Hargrave and Devontae Wyatt. So... we're not the only team that was stacking big bodies in the middle. You heard Javon Hargrave in that quote. They have Devontae Wyatt, the 22 first rounder, and then they bring in Javon. I'm sure he's going to love it there. Complete breath of fresh air after just having to slum it in Minnesota. But then they spent their third and fourth round picks on D-line as well. They got McClellan at the DT spot. And then it looks like edge responsibility, outside linebacker type, Danny Dennis Sutton is who they selected in the fourth round. Size, athleticism combo. He's 6'5.5", 256, ran a 4.6 40. Elite testing percentiles. And Danny, let me see here. He's out of Penn State. 17 sacks in his final 2 seasons. And they quoted, let me see here, Pete Doherty. He's big and athletic, yes. So they love those picks. Later on, they still have McManus on the roster, I think. But they did select a kicker. In the 6th round, Trey Smack. Trey Smack. How about Trey Smack?
Soldier Field is silenced. You could hear a snowflake kiss the crossbar.
I'm hoping
that's
that
nice.
Packers kicker is smacking the crossbar as he enters his NFL tenure with the green and gold. So that's kind of where they picked up a corner again in the back end in the 6th round. But but that really it feels like a heavy defensive focus. Of course, Jonathan Gannon, the new defensive coordinator there. So that's what it looks like for the green and gold.
Wise approach by Next Level Goody because Ben Johnson likes to run and he has those nice tight ends. And the Minnesota Vikings have added Max Bredesen. So you go you go with 2 tight ends, a tailback, couple of nice receivers, maybe including Jawan Jennings. You better have good tackling defensive linemen and corners, Next Level Goody, to handle the Minnesota Mashers.
And then finally, the Chicago Bears.
With the 25th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Dylan Thieneman, defensive back.
Of course they did.
Yeah, they certainly did, PA, and I don't have all the Cronins and the Wiederers. They have many comments on the Bears draft. We know that, but really this is kind of talkers galore for me. So Thieneman's the obvious one. You've mentioned it, and I've seen other people reporting nationally as well that, you know, whether it was Caleb Banks, if he doesn't go at 18, to pretend that we could just chill until Friday and get him, that's kind of like a dream because there were other teams that were interested in Caleb.
I got steam.
Ooh.
The Eagles put a lot of work into Caleb Banks very late in the equation with like next level medicals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Howie Roseman was thinking he might come up and get the beef eater from Florida.
Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
Caleb Banks.
Yeah, NASCAR package rotation terrorism.
My goodness, that's all they do. But they get Thieneman. That was the oft mocked pick to 18 in the Vikings. But now we get to see how Dylan Thieneman fits into that mix with the Bears. In the 2nd round, they took Logan Jones, so we know they have Garrett Bradbury, but now potentially a future asset is. He's a little bit more mature, might you say. I think he's already 25, but Logan Jones, the center out of Iowa.
He's 25?
Yeah, he's 25. Yeah, he plays angry, though. He's mad.
Well, yeah, he's mad because how old he is in a young man's game.
Well,
seriously, he's 25?
25.
That's ridiculous.
But, it's how it played out. So I spent, after we took Golday at 51, and we had at the time, before the Grenard pick, we had 82 and then 97. Mm-hmm. I really, really wanted a center at one of those spots, PA. And then you go with Big Citrus, and then the final 2, of course, being Tiernan, the tackle out of Northwestern, and then Jacoby Thomas. But I'm just thinking to myself the whole time. So Logan Jones was the first domino to fall, and then I think Slaughter went from Florida. So as you're approaching those later picks in the 3rd round, now post-Grenard trade, so we got 97 and 98. Welcome, Big Citrus. I'm thinking you have to take Sam Hecht out of Kansas State. You have to take Connor Lew out of Auburn, I believe. They don't, of course. So that kind of tells me, you know, I just liked Logan Jones. I'm watching highlights, man. I didn't go to O-line U, okay? This team, I want a center. I want an answer to that potentially long term behind beyond Brandel. And so, but this tells you kind of maybe how they viewed or how they graded those centers in Hecht and in terms of what they need, their confidence level in Brandel, and really how they viewed these prospects that I was clamoring for. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But Logan Jones, we were joking about it. Cole Kmet, Colson Loveland, and now Stanford tight end Sam Roush. They take him in the 3rd round.
Yep.
So they're mashing with big bodies.
I think they crushed it with Roush.
I think they got him in a good spot.
I just think he's perfect for the way they play.
And then it'll be interesting to see as well that I know they got rid of DJ Moore via trade to the Bills, but they like Luther Burden, of course, Roma Dunze, all those tight ends, so myriad options for Caleb Williams. They took this wide receiver out of LSU, Xavion Thomas, in the late 3rd round. I wonder if he's maybe somebody that can do what they wanted Velus Jones Jr. to do because he was big into punt returns and kick returns when he was both at Mississippi State and eventually LSU. So something to watch there. They added a corner, Malik Muhammad. I know nothing about him. And then a linebacker and then a defensive tackle later in the draft. So Bears fans, those that cover the Bears, very bullish on how the Bears and Ben Johnson found their way through this draft.
Well, we're happy for Lavelino III and all Bears fans across the Great Divide. That, my friend, was a wonderful division draft deep dive, because we now know what the adversaries think they have coming at us, but they also know what the Minnesota Vikings have coming at them with the Banks, Big Citrus, Jalen Redmond defensive line identifiable, hopefully, as one of the better D-lines in the National Football League. That was really cool. Speaking of really cool, do you like money? Well, let's make a lot of it in the Kentucky Derby. And longtime writer and elite Kentucky Derby mind, Dick Jerardi, joins 9 to noon around the corner. But first, here comes Miko Nordo, and he got the money.
Yeah, you can make a ton of money in the Derby, but how about some bonus bucks while you're listening to 9 to noon? The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a chance to win some bonus bucks, National Cash Contest style. So go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword media. Use the keyword media for your chance to win by entering it at KFAN.com.
Stop, bam. Hockey and horsies and hockey. And courtesy of betonline.ag, joining us now, Dick Jerardi, writer for the Philadelphia Daily News for almost 3.5 decades. He's an elite Kentucky Derby mind, joins us yearly. And the Derby is this Saturday around 6 o'clock Central. Watch and wager, be a part of racing history at Canterbury Park, canterburypark.com. Dick, it's Paul Allen. How have you been? And thanks for helping with the Derby.
I've been great, Paul, and I'm absolutely happy to help. I can't wait to hear you Memorial Day weekend at Canterbury.
Oh, thank you very much, bud. We look forward to it, May 23rd for a live racing opening, and that's really cool of you. Now, Dick was a charter member. Now, this is a little inside baseball, but my brethren who follow it will appreciate it. Dick was a charter member of the Beyer Speed Figure team established by Andy Beyer. The number is quite prevalent in past performances for all races and has reshaped the way people handicap races. To wit, in Saturday's Kentucky Derby, the best last race Beyer Speed Figure belongs to Bluegrass champion Further Ado. That number is 106. So Dick, how much does all of that factor into your handicapping?
It's the first place I look, Paul. I really got into the game because of Andy Beyer's first book, Picking Winners, back half a century ago, that explained the method that he used back then and that our team uses today. In fact, it was the four of us. Originally, it was Andy, Mark Hopkins, who's a partner in the business with Andy, myself, and Randy Moss. We were the first four. Now we have a couple others that help us out. Of course, the figures are in DRF every day, and yeah, that's the first place I look. So it's, to me, fast is the most important thing. Who's the fastest horse?
The Derby favorite, again, Saturday, takes place right around 5:57, 6 o'clock Central, and there's advanced wagering at Canterbury Park. We got the Oaks on Friday, so come on down to Shakopee and spend some time with us. Dick's inclusion is courtesy of betonline.ag. The Derby favorite is number 1, Renegade, who drew the disadvantageous one post in a 20-horse field. So how do you handle the favorite, the Arkansas Derby champion, with the great Irad Ortiz Jr. riding, being trapped down on the inside?
Yeah, you'd rather not have it that way, Paul. In reality, you'd rather have somewhere in the middle or even to the outside where there's less traffic. But having said that, I don't think it's as big a deal as it used to be. Remember, for years, we had the two gates, right? The first gate had 14 horses, the other would have 6. But since 2020, they built this 20-stall gate. And if you watch the replays, I don't think the one post has been as disadvantaged in those races. Mm-hmm. But also, statistically, hasn't won in 40 years since Ferdinand in 1986. So,
right.
But I wouldn't, if you like Renegade, I wouldn't talk yourself off of it because of the post position. Yeah. I just wouldn't. I think that would be making a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to make a win bet on a horse at 5-1, say, even with the great Irad Ortiz Jr. And I understand what you're saying about, being farther off the rail from the one spot. And I'm not even really that worrisome that Renegade comes from off the pace. That's pretty much all he's shown. But I mean, you know how difficult it is, man, where if you don't come out the right way and the other 19 converge and they just come down on you, that's so difficult for a rider to navigate.
Yeah, no question. And look, Paul, I know you do the Vikings games and you're familiar with football. I've been saying this for years. It's like you're playing a Super Bowl with 13 players on the side, right? It's our biggest race we have, and it's the only race we have more than 14 horses in it. So it can often be chaotic. And that's something you can't really account for because you just don't know. I mean, you call races, you don't know what's going to happen in this first 200 yards.
Yeah,
especially with all these horses.
That's a great point. And it's I read Ortiz Jr., clearly one of the better riders in the world. And I know you follow this thing year round, much more than me. But like with IRAD, Churchill Downs with that long stretch, or when he rides at Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. Those are a couple of tracks where the clock in his head, the timing with his moves, just not the greatest thing in the world. Now he gets the one post, and I wonder if Renegade's going to go favored, because of being in the one. You think he'll go favored?
It's a great question. I would have thought that before he drew the one, but because there's it's such a negative thing in this Derby that it may be enough to not make him the favorite. Paul, this is one of the more bizarre derbies. I can't tell you who I think is even going to be favored.
I agree.
Because there's like 4 or 5 horses, right, that look very, very similar. I mean, the 3 Florida Derby horses, they're separated by a half a length. Commandment and the Puma and Chief Wallaby. How do you really separate them? Who's supposed to get bet more than the others? I've watched that replay a half a dozen times. I can't tell you who's better of those 3, and that's kind of the way I feel about the whole field. So even picking the favorite is hard in this race.
I'm really glad you said that, because to me, it does feel that this year's Derby is just going to provide massive payouts on trifectas and superfectas. And for those here in Minnesota or listening abroad, trifecta means identifying the top 3 finishers in a race, superfecta top 4 finishers, and you don't have to go like 1, 2, 3. I mean, you can use multiple horses in each spot, but the Derby payoffs, because the pools are so big, generally speaking, are just fantastic. I think this year with the trifecta and the superfecta, I think it's going to be boffo big time. What about you?
Yeah, that's the lure of it, right? Because of the 20 horses, the possibility of just gigantic payoffs, especially in a bet like the Dollar Super. If you can get rid of a couple of these favorites, the Renegades, the Commandments of the world, get them off your ticket, and you have a horse, say 10 or 15 to 1, that's your key horse, you can get somewhere in the top 4. Yeah, then anything's possible. I mean, one of my favorite Derby bet of all time, Paul, I didn't win it, but it was the Fleet Alex's year, so 21 years ago, 2005. I loved them all week. I didn't like the favorite Bellamy Road at all. So I put a Fleet Alex on top. I was looking for a long shot to put 2nd, 3rd, and 4th with the field. I came down on Giacomo. And the rest of the story. If Fleet Alex took the lead to stretch, Giacomo passed him at 50 to 1. 78 to 1 was second. Fleet Alex was third. Bellamy wrote off the ticket. 800,000 for $1.
Oh wow, 800! Wow. Okay, now Giacomo was 50 to 1, right?
Correct. He was 50. The second horse, Closing Argument, was 78 to 1.
Oh, geez.
And the idea was I conceded the race to a Fleet Alex. After a while, it starts to become too expensive.
Yeah.
And it turned out I was right. I had the best horse. I was just 2 weeks too early. He won the Preakness and, of course, won the Belmont. But that's the nature of the game. But it's still one of my favorite bets ever that I was able to come up with Giacomo. But that's kind of, to me, how you're supposed to play.
Yep.
The superfecta. If you can come up with a winner, it just brings down the cost of the bet pretty dramatically.
Yeah, and I believe Giacomo was ridden by HOF Hall of Famer Mike Smith, right?
That is 100% correct.
Okay.
And trained by John Sheriffs, who just went into the Hall of Fame. Of course, he also trained the great Philly Zenyatta.
All right, so HOF jockey Mike Smith started his career here in Minnesota at the former Canterbury Downs. Now, he's 60 years old and has won the Kentucky Derby 2 times. Giacomo, and most recently 2018 on Justify. Smith guides So Happy Saturday, and that one is 15-1 in the morning line. Here's the question. A 60-year-old jockey and the Santa Anita Derby champion. What do you make of all that? Because I give this horse a chance.
Yeah, I think he's a contender. Certainly, if he can come back to that race in the Santa Anita Derby, he's going to be in it. The numbers say he's right there. He's got a triple-digit buyer. And a neat note is the oldest jockey ever to win the Derby was Bill Shoemaker at 54. That was 40 years ago. Now, obviously, if Mike wins it, he will then become the oldest jockey ever to win the race.
This is Dick Jerardi, long-time, well-respected writer for the Philadelphia Daily News, like 3.5 decades, right around there, and has been following and writing about horse racing, covering the Triple Crown, the Kentucky Derby, the Breeders' Cup for multiple decades. Always joins 9 to noon this time of the year. Very cool, and it's courtesy of betonline.ag. Speaking of the Derby, Dick, I've never been to a Kentucky Derby. What are Derby days like at Churchill Downs?
Long, but fun. I covered 31 for the newspaper, and I've been to 34 total. And it's a scene. Everybody needs to go there at least once. It's starting to become price problematic. It was a lot simpler back in the day where you could pay like 20 or 30 bucks, get in and roam around. That's not the case anymore. But still, it's worth seeing. It starts like the first post is at 11 o'clock. There are people that get out there at dawn, and they don't leave till dusk or afterwards. It's dark, and it's a gigantic party. There'll be 150,000 people there. The infield is open, and that's where the most raucous activity happens. And there's times when you walk in there, you're not sure if you're going to get out or not because it's a little chaotic in there. A lot of young people, and then there's millionaires and billionaires. If you look across the Waterson Expressway, is the interstate right near Churchill Downs. Right across is the Louisville Airport, and there are all these just jets from all over the world bringing in celebrities and football players. And Michael Jordan used to be a regular. Tom Brady's been a regular through the years at the Derby. So, yeah, it's a place to see and be seen for sure.
Well, speaking of the worldly appeal to the Kentucky Derby, there's a Japanese horse named Wonder Dean who has earned right around $750,000. And I bring it up because the Japanese win all over the world. And I'm not saying Wonder Dean is going to win, but again, this Kentucky Derby looks so wide open that if you hit the correct top 3 or 4, trifecta or superfecta, you could win hundreds of thousands of dollars if you get a horse like Wonder Dean on that ticket. Do you think he'll be any kind of a factor, and will he be on any of your tickets?
It's interesting. He's ridden by the same jockey who rode Forever Young, who you remember 2 years ago, Paul, was third in the Derby, a hard luck third. Also a Japanese-bred horse, and he's come back to become the winningest horse in the history of the sport. He's over $30 million. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic last year. He won the Saudi Cup twice, a $20 million race. So the Japanese are going to win this race soon. I don't know that it's going to be Wonder Dean. I didn't particularly love the UAE Derby. That's the big race that he won. I thought it was kind of slow. I actually like the other Japanese horse, the 7, Danon Bourbon. He's a Kentucky bred, but he's owned and been raced in Japan. And you'll appreciate this, a guy who's called so many races. You know, when you just see a horse and you watch the videos and you say, that's just different. That's what I see with Danon Bourbon. He's 3 for 3. And the hard part is trying to evaluate, like, what is he up against, right? We're not all that familiar with Japanese racing. So in addition to watching the videos, which were just dazzling to me, I was able to find the times of the races that day and equate his time to other times at the same distances. He was running dramatically faster, in some cases 2 seconds faster, which is, is a big deal in horse racing. That's 10 lengths. So I think he's an absolute contender, and he's like 15 or 20 to 1 probably.
Well, that is elite deep diving, Mr. Jerardi. Thank you very much for that. Time for 2 more. Dick Jerardi, courtesy of betonline.ag. What about the horses for courses? Commandment, Incredibolt, and Further Ado are all undefeated at Churchill Downs. How much, and it's not many races, 1 or 2, but how much does experience over the racetrack matter?
I think it helps. If you go back just to last year, Sovereignty, Bill Mott brought Sovereignty to Churchill Downs to run in the fall because he knew he had a Derby horse and he wanted to get him a run over the racetrack. And of course, what's he do on the first Saturday in May last year? He wins the race. So I think it's helpful. Anything that's not a new experience is good for any athlete, and horses are no different in that way. I would say of the ones you mentioned, if you're just looking to feel like, all right, I got a horse that I feel very confident is going to be in the top 4, it's probably Commandment. He just hasn't run a bad race. He's on a 4-race winning streak, won the Florida Derby, won the Fountain of Youth. It's interesting, Paul. Every race he wins, the jockey who rides him doesn't ride him the next time. They just can't get a jockey to stay with him because they're all committed elsewhere. Like I read Ortiz rode him in Florida.
Yep.
He's committed to ride Renegade. Flavien Prat rode him. He's committed to ride Emerging Market. So, I mean, they got Luis Saez, who's certainly a terrific rider. But, yeah, Commandment to me is, if you're just looking to impress your friends that you're like, hey, I got a horse that's going to do well, Commandment's that horse.
Lastly here, Dick Jerardi, who do you like and why?
Yeah, I like the non-bourbon. I love the price. I think, and you said it a minute ago, the way to look at this race is all the American contenders look very, very similar. So you're looking for something different, some potential horse with a ceiling that we don't know how high it is yet. This isn't one of those years where you have Justify or American Pharoah or California Chrome where you just go, look, this horse is winning the race. It isn't like that. So I couldn't tell you the difference between the top 3 in the Florida Derby, the Santa Anita Derby. They all look similar to me, so why not take a shot, especially with a 15 or 20 to 1 shot that may have a ceiling incredibly high. And visually, that's what I see. The issue is you have a trainer and jockey who have had no experience in American racing at all. That's a problem. But when in doubt, I'll take talent, and I think this horse has a tremendous amount of talent.
Hey, man, I know you've spent a lot of time around Philly Park, so you probably know a really good friend of mine, Ed Stefanski, the Atlanta Falcons coach, Kevin Stefanski's father. He's a horse owner out there. You know Ed at all? Because he's really into horse racing.
Not only do I know Ed, Ed was a part owner of Bet Twice, which was the first Derby I ever covered. Bob Levy is a legendary Philadelphian. Owned Bet Twice, who ended up finishing second in the Derby and the Preakness in 87 and then crushed in the Belmont. Yeah, Eddie and I have been friends for 40 years. Of course, he played at Penn. He was a commentator here at local college basketball. And, Paul, when I'm not covered horse racing, I covered college basketball. So, yeah, Eddie and I have been friends for a long time. And, yes, he loves the racetrack.
Yep, and like so many, with respect to our mutual friend Ed, you can do this with my Derby picks, too. It kind of causes us to hearken to movie immortality, Let It Ride. You just walk around and get some Derby opinions and be like, who you like, Uncle Ed, Bubba? And he says, whatever, cross it out. Who do you like, Paul? Cross it out. And then when you got one left, you bet it. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I did that one year at the Derby for a laugh as a column, and I got down to 2, and unfortunately they gave me the horse that won as the second to last one I got.
Oh wow, Dick, you're
fantastic. I needed one more.
You're fantastic, man, and I got a lot of respect for your career. Followed you from afar for many years when I worked with the likes of Joe Hirsch and Jay Hovde and Jay Privman and so on. So I'm a fan from afar. Thank you very much for the time, and good luck with the Derby, all right?
As am I with your calls at Canterbury with the Vikings, Paul. Great talking to you.
See you, bud. Dick Jerardi, courtesy of betonline.ag. Watch and wager, be a part of racing history at Canterbury Park. The Derby is Saturday around 6 o'clock. Hope to see you there. CanterburyPark.com to get some tickets and enjoy what is always a festive occasion in Shakopee at Canterbury Park. Kentucky Derby Day this Saturday, CanterburyPark.com. Back after this.
News du Nord, 9 to noon. It is brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. And, well, from Shakopee all the way up to Sturgeon Lake. Beautiful day ahead of us up in Sturgeon Lake. Wherever you are, head on down to Shakopee, Canterbury, CanterburyPark.com. Feeling the felt all year round, poker, blackjack, and table games. And, with our last guest, Dick Jerardi, the conversation into this weekend, of course, is Derby Day. And it's a massive party in Shakopee, big hats and mint juleps. And you can go to the website for that. And then also, just get it on your calendar. Memorial Day weekend, big-time blowout. It's opening weekend of live racing at Canterbury. So, again, CanterburyPark.com. Speaking of blowouts, tough one to take yesterday at Target Field. Mariners beat the Twins 7-1. Buxton, dig it. He early on not early on, excuse me. It was in the fifth. I mean, we're chilling, waiting for runs to be scored yesterday. Buxton gets the home run in the fifth, so you get the 1-0 lead. Things start to unravel from there. 7 unanswered by the M's, and they win 7-1. And today we get to see Taj Bradley. Taj Bradley on the mound, 3-1, low ERA. Digging what we have seen from Taj thus far. He's on the mound for another one against Seattle. To the NBA, we're waiting for our favorite team tomorrow night, chance to close it out at Target Center. How about that? The opportunity potentially for both the Wild and the Wolves to clinch a victory and win a series at home on the same evening. Wolves game time tomorrow night, tip-off shortly after 8:30 p.m., so put that on your calendar. And if they do move ahead in the series, looks like they'll be facing Wemby and the Spurs. Spurs closed out the Blazers last night, 114-95. Knicks go ahead over Nickeil Alexander-Walker's Hawks, 126-97, 3-2 in that series. Sixers stay alive again. Boston still leading that series 3-2. So just digging the NBA, digging a fun series. A fun series, by the way, in the East, which it's weird. Watch the Orlando Magic play.
Right.
So that's all I'm going to say. They got this Kane cat who's dunking over people. Paolo Banchero, don't forget that he exists and he is a force. I want to see if Wagner, I think he had a calf tightness thing. He was kind of stuck in the most recent game against the Pistons. But the Pistons are literally fumbling away this series, which is crazy now that Cade Cunningham's back. We're talking about Wolves turnovers. Cade has been turning the ball over 100 times, it feels like, in the last few games. But the Pistons, down 3-1 in this series, game 5 tonight, they're still very game to compete in this thing. Just kind of been a fun one to watch from afar if you are an NBA fan.
And we kind of saw that when Orlando was here a month and change, 2 months ago. Blew out the Timberwolves on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And the narrative or the kind of sidewinding joke was, what is it with the Wolves and these home games on the weekend?
Yeah.
I mean, they just keep getting blown out.
Specifically like these sleepy matinee games.
Yes. But we left that game saying, yeah, okay, snarkiness to the side. Damn, Orlando's really good. I even talked to Finchie about it. So the Magic beating the Pistons would not draw much surprise from me. Joel Embiid has come back for the Sixers, and he was rusty 2 games ago, and Tyrese Maxey paid for it. Likewise for VJ Edgecombe. They just couldn't get their shots. It came together last night. So if I'm the Celtics with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and what they put forward, I'd be careful here. Because with Embiid, Embiid is still one of the better players in the NBA when he's 80% healthy or better, which he is. Maxey goes lights out. Edgecombe is one of the best rookies in the NBA. And your guy Paul George is contributing just enough and knows how to play the game. So these Sixers are headed the right direction, kind of in a hurry, too.
On the NHL side, Bruins, it was Pasternak in overtime last night that pulled the series 3-2. Buffalo still ahead in the series 3-2, but Bruins win in OT last night.
Yep.
Oilers staving off elimination by the Ducks. They housed the Ducks 4-1. And I was just kind of channel flipping. I mean, it's still, everybody knows it. When it's McDavid and Draisaitl, just stop what you're doing and watch if you have a chance.
It's good.
They looked last night like the team that's gone to the finals 2 years in a row, sadly.
Yep.
They haven't found their way to the right side of it. Canadiens and Lightning tonight. That's a fun series. Penguins and Flyers. Pittsburgh battling back in that one. And then the Mammoth. The Mammoth putting up a fight. They're at Vegas tonight in the late one. That's a cool team, man. I mean, again, it's kind of Rube style. Like, I'm so locked in on the Wolves in Denver. I'm locked in on the Wild and Stars.
Yep.
But when you get the chance and you're bored during a period break or you hear an opinion that you don't appreciate, so you turn the channel, and then suddenly, boom, it's like, wow, Clayton Keller, wow, Mammoth, wow. It's just that I'm enjoying this time of the year with these playoff games right now.
As am I. And the Wild succeeding and doing well is going to bring a lot of people into watching the other games. The TNT TBS between period bit, with the likes of Henrik Lundqvist, Paul Bissonnette from Spit and Chicklets. It's fantastic. They do really, really good work with TNT. Got Kenny Albert, one of the better Voxes in the NHL. Eddie Olczyk, one of the very best analysts. So the presentation is good. With Utah, Sky Umah, Logan Cooley. I mean, you talk about a star on the rise. Holy cow. And likewise for the Ducks, Jackson Lacombe has developed himself into one of the better blue liners in the NHL. He's so young that, he's going to be like one of the best under, age 25 blue liners for sure. But he's a factor every single game. So is Mikhail Granny, who used to play here, then went to Nashville. He's tearing the Oilers up. So I'm finding ways to watch this Ducks-Oilers series. I think the Ducks are going to find a way to win it, and could be an upset-laden postseason for the Stanley Cup group.
And, of course, hockey leading into our favorite team, Wild, winning last night, 4-2 the final. And they come home to Grand Casino Arena tomorrow. Puck drop shortly after 6:30 p.m. Hey, a normal game time in our city on a school night. Chance to close out the Dallas Stars at home tomorrow, which kind of leads us out of News de Nord and into the final hour with our next guest, PA.
10 of B, Brandon Molesky. We did Along the Boards with B for quite some time, but due to scheduling and stuff like that, we haven't been able to do it in a while, but it reemerges today. In fact, it's around the corner. Elite Hockey Mind 10 of B joins us in studio at FM 100.3. KFAN, your home for the about to clinch Minnesota Wild.